Why lead generation? Hi, I'm Brian Pombo. Welcome back to Brian J. Pombo Live. Lead generation is an interesting topic. We've been talking about this for a handful of videos now. I just wanted to I don't want to gloss over the idea that lead generation is important, especially because it occurs to me almost almost every company I end up working with has some serious reservations about doing any form of lead generation whatsoever. If they are doing it, there's people in the company that think they shouldn't be. If they are not doing it, it's because they don't understand why. And so I just wanted to hit on this topic real quick for you. I have not found in most cases if a company is not doing lead generation, and the only time I'd ever tell them not to do any form of lead generation whatsoever is if there are other issues with the company that need to be fixed first. Okay, that's the only thing. It's not because I think that company shouldn't have it. I honestly think all companies should have some form of lead generation in place. What is lead generation, first off? Lead generation is the idea of collecting at least limited information of a person that is a prospective customer, client, patient, what have you. Whatever you're doing, you should have that list of prospective people that might be willing to be a customer, that might be a good fit for being a customer, client, or what have you. That's a lead. A lead is just somebody that's close to being there. I mean, this doesn't even count holding on to lists of people that were previous customers. This doesn't have to do with people even having a list of people who are current customers or recent customers. I'm just talking leads. I'm just talking people that might someday be interested. And it could be a number of reasons, but in most cases, if you can find people who have shown interest in a topic or idea, or they have some type of demographic that makes them basically the type of person that you're looking for. So if you're selling dog food and you know this person has a dog or more, they're probably a prospect for you. Okay, that's a little slice of demographics that you'd be able to, that's a list that you can get from somewhere else. You wouldn't even have to ask them directly necessarily. You can garner one of those lists from elsewhere, but just developing a list of people who might possibly be interested. Here's why you want to do that. Here's why it matters. It's because no matter what, if you go and talk to everyone who could possibly be a prospective customer, you're always going to have people walk away who aren't ready to purchase yet. They're not ready to become a customer yet. And what do you do with those? And it's usually a majority, and it's usually a large majority. If you could talk to everybody all at once around the world that could ever possibly be a prospective customer of yours, everyone that's currently alive, okay, everyone that speaks your language, if you could talk to all of them all at once, what percentage of them would actually become customers? Probably enough for you to do pretty well, right? But aside from that, you'd have a huge percentage, depending on what it is that you have as an entry level offer. You'd have a huge percentage that would not be interested. So what do you do with all of those? Does it mean you just ignore them? Does it mean that you hope that your marketing or sales team is going to get in front of them another time, that it's just going to happen, and that there's zero competition that could ever come in between you and them? No, that's absurd. All those things are possible. So having a person's name, at least is the absolute limited that you need. You at least need their first name. If you get their full name, great. You at least need a way of contacting them that you've been given permission to do. An email, a phone number, a snail mail address, whatever. You need something that you can talk to them by, that you can connect with them by, and that you have somewhat control over. Okay, phone, at least in the United States, you kind of have to have permission to have that, depending on which sector you're in. But you do need permission to be able to call somebody. Once they've given you that information and you've said that you're going to be calling them, then you're off to the races. Email is a very similar thing. Snail mail, not so much. That's pretty much still wide open. If you've got somebody's address, and you've got their name, you can send them a piece of mail, and you can do it pretty indefinitely. There's certain lists you can get on to cut out your junk mail, but it's a whole nother story. If you get permission, though, on any level, there's nothing better than lead generation, because it allows you to keep going back in front of them over and over, and you have a reasonable amount of control over that process. And in most cases, it's the least expensive way of advertising, because you've cut out everybody that you know is definitely not a prospect. The people who do not have dogs are probably the least likely to purchase dog food, if that makes sense. Lead generation is important. Understanding that part first is a huge step forward, especially for all of the industries out there that do not collect leads, that do nothing to get people's information so that they can start an ongoing relationship, which is really what it's all about. Really what it's about is you've got to create a relationship with these people so that eventually you get to the point where they're willing to try out what it is that you're offering. That's all I got for tonight. Go check out my book, 9 Ways to Amazon Proof Your Business. Once you have that lead, where do you go from there? How do you differentiate yourself from everybody else? That's what this book's all about. 9 Ways to Amazon Proof Your Business. Get a free copy at AmazonProofBook.com. We'll see you tomorrow night. In the meantime, get out there and let the magic happen.